In this video, I believe that in this financial crisis, the Bitcoin dominance will go back to 90%. I know that that is a very controversial thing to say, but in this video, I'm going to explain to you exactly why I think that that's the case. And also in the Bitcoin price, I'm going to show you some different support and resistance here, as you can see, that I think will be very, very important to keep an eye on in the immediate future. And guys, a massive, massive move is coming to Bitcoin, and I'm going to show you exactly why I know that's the case, and I want to show you exactly what lines we need to pay attention to in the immediate future. And if you think that that sounds interesting, then I think that you should definitely watch this video. Hello guys and welcome to the moon. My name is Carl and I'm here to bring you this cryptocurrency video. Alright, so let's first of all take a look at some support and resistance lines, and I'm starting off with a naked chart. I want to start off fresh here and just take a look at where are the most logical support and resistance lines to put. First of all, I think it's quite obvious that we could easily put a support line like this because we are connecting two bottoms right there, and this bottom, and also this big wick after this big capitulation. So we get four connections essentially. And while we're seeing the volume clearly decline, we're seeing the price going up. And you know what they say, when you see price go up on declining volume, then you shouldn't really trust the rally. And when we see a consolidation phase, we usually do see declining volume, and this consolidation is of course what followed this big capitulation that we saw a few weeks ago when Bitcoin fell 60% in just a few days. Now if we were to put a parallel line here, then I think we immediately see that this could be something that resembles a bear flag, and we already did watch another bear flag with the support looking like this, and when we broke this support and this resistance was looking something like this, then you can see how Bitcoin did get a small sell-off. However, there was no volume to follow the break, and when there's no volume, then you know that we're actually not breaking out of whatever you thought we were breaking out of. So this bear flag was actually not valid, as I was talking about. However, this bear flag could actually be valid based on these support and resistance lines. If I were to make a targeted move, I would take it all the way from up there down to the lows, and I put this at the point of a potential breakout. Let's say we break out right there, then this gives us a target of 3,140 approximately. This depends a little bit on exactly where you put this, obviously, but $3,000 would be the target technically, and it doesn't really matter if you call this a bear flag or not, because this support line is significant. If Bitcoin breaks this support and the volume gets a big volume spike here, then I think we should definitely expect much lower prices here, and that is something that I want to be prepared for if we do see that bearish scenario play out. Now obviously there is some other patterns that we have been looking at. We have this horizontal resistance, and we also have a upwards trending support line giving us this ascending triangle, and this is also a pattern that I think makes a lot of sense technically in the chart right now. The volume is declining, the resistance is horizontal, and we seem to be bouncing between support and resistance here. And as you may already know, an ascending triangle is actually a bullish pattern, which means that we break to the upside more often than to the downside. The bear flag, however, is the exact opposite. It is a bearish pattern, but I think this ascending triangle still leaves room for us to potentially break out to the upside, but still be within the bear flag, because as I showed you, I mean, we have the bear flag resistance up here, so this ascending triangle doesn't necessarily have to threaten this bear flag, and sometimes we do see smaller patterns within bigger patterns, and something like this might potentially be what we are looking at. And let me make the bear flag yellow so we can differentiate a little bit better here. And now you can see the bear flag and the ascending triangle simultaneously here. But one thing is for sure though, when we see declining volume like this, this always ends with a bang. Almost always after a big declining volume phase like this, we see a huge move and the volume spikes up once again. And personally, I'm going to keep a very, very close attention to this support of this potential bear flag. And next up, yesterday I recorded a very important video, this video, BitMEX deleted. Make sure that you go and watch this video if you haven't seen it already. The title of this video is I deleted my BitMEX tutorial, here is why. And that is true. My BitMEX tutorial that I had online was the most successful video on my channel. It was the most viewed BitMEX tutorial on YouTube and people loved the video. However, I deleted it yesterday for a very good reason, actually several reasons, and I explain everything in this video, so make sure to go watch this video. It's over on my channel, but you can also click the link popping up on top of the screen right now. That is a gateway to that video. Go and watch it. Next up, in this financial crisis, I expect Bitcoin dominance to rise above 90%. Why do I believe that? Well, I believe that in this financial crisis, people will be looking for less risk, just as you would expect in a financial crisis, just like 2008. When people are fearful, they will sell risky assets. And it's obvious that altcoins are more risky than Bitcoin. So I believe that as we see more and more fear, more and more crisis, more and more financial turmoil, we will see more people sell altcoins into Bitcoin. And I think that it's a very reasonable assumption to make. Most of the altcoins are scams. The ones that are not scams, most of them are actually very unserious, and the people behind the projects simply want to make quick money. And the few ones that are left, that are the serious good projects, simply are not big enough to create any bigger swings in the Bitcoin dominance. And in a minute, I'm going to go down below this tweet and I'm going to take a look at all of your comments here and I'm going to address your comments. But first, I want to talk about the technicals behind what I'm saying here. So now I talked about the fundamentals, why Bitcoin is going to go up in dominance. This is the technicals. And we can see how back in 2017, 2016, Bitcoin dominance was, well, between 80 and 90%. So the Bitcoin dominance has been there before. It's not something that is new. I believe that we will just go back to where Bitcoin was previously at 90%. And actually, if you followed my videos way back in 2018 and when the Bitcoin dominance was at all-time lows, at the height of the altcoin bubble, you may remember how I said that I believe that the altcoins are in a massive bubble, and I believe that the Bitcoin dominance will most likely come back above 60% again, and maybe even up to 90%. And I still think that this is true, and especially now that we see the financial crisis escalate. And here you can see how Bitcoin had a big rise in the dominance, and then a consolidation phase, and then a big rise in the dominance, and then a consolidation phase. I believe that we will see another big rise in the Bitcoin dominance all the way up to 80% up here at least, and maybe then another consolidation phase. And then I think it's even possible that Bitcoin might go even higher if this financial crisis and depression continues to escalate. And I think that yes, 90% Bitcoin dominance is possible. This means, of course, that the altcoins are going to deflate heavily in the next few years. But don't take my word for it. Make up your own mind, make your own research. This is what I believe. I would love to know what you guys think, so please leave your comments down below and also vote in this poll right now. Do you believe that the Bitcoin dominance will ever go to 90% again? Yes or no? Alright, so let's take a look at some of your comments below this controversial tweet. Alright, so this guy says, or maybe to drop 90%, who knows? So basically he's maybe more bullish on altcoins rather than Bitcoin. And DaVinci J15 says here, this may happen in the short term. However, this assumes everyone has the same information and belief in the deflationary monetary policy of Bitcoin. So in other words, DaVinci says that this assumes that everyone understands the fundamentals of Bitcoin. But I think that it doesn't really matter if people understand it or not, because eventually when this crisis takes a turn for the worse, people will be left with no choice because everything is falling in value and you have to buy the things that are not falling in value. And the fundamental flaws of the current monetary system is that it's inflatable, and Bitcoin is not inflatable. So I believe that eventually people would just wake up to the value of Bitcoin, and also gold. Obviously, gold is the most secure way to store value, but Bitcoin will be the maybe second most secure way to store value, maybe even better. Who knows? But I believe that Bitcoin definitely will complement gold in this financial crisis as a safe haven. However, it will take much more time. It won't happen in the next week. It might take another year. And this guy says here that I expect the Bitcoin dominance to go to a new all-time low. So this guy is more bullish on altcoins. Bitcoin is slow. Similar security will soon be achieved by coins like ADA. 70% of the hash rate comes from China, and BTC doesn't even have a clear use case. Now, there is so much wrong about this. I want to start off with saying that Bitcoin has a very clear use case. It's a form of money. It's a way to transfer value, and it's a way to store value. And I think that this is a very, very clear use case. And I don't really understand why I have to explain this over again, because I've been talking so much about this on my channel. The only thing that is needed from now on is a second layer solution to give Bitcoin instant transactions and almost free transactions. That is the only thing that is needed for Bitcoin to become the best form of money. And the fact that Bitcoin is slow is a feature that is needed, because if Bitcoin was fast, then you would have to compromise security. And this is the big problem with these altcoins. They are much faster, much cheaper to transact, but they are much less secure. So you're compromising security for the speed. And what Bitcoin can do is just use second layer solutions without compromising the on-chain security, and that is very, very important, guys. This is why I don't look for a new Bitcoin, because Bitcoin, the most secure blockchain in the world, is the ground layer that will be needed, and is the security that will be needed to make this big infrastructure of payments in the future. And this guy here says that I expect your IQ will drop 50 more points during this temporarily crisis. And BSV King says, yeah, same, but Bitcoin won't do too well as it has no utility and no scale. Well, like I just said, Bitcoin has a massive utility. You can send it to anyone at any point in time, to any country, no borders, no third party. There is no risk involved. You have no third party risk, no default risk. And guys, I mean, I can go on and on and on and on. Bitcoin has so much utility. It is insane. Bitcoin is extremely severely undervalued right now. And like I said, also, Bitcoin can scale with second layer solutions. And Janice Phillips says here, with this quality alts, impossible. And there are probably quality altcoins out there, but guys, let's not expect too much from the mainstream. The mainstream, when they go into crypto, they will go into Bitcoin. They are not going to go to CoinMarketCap and look for speculative altcoins, especially now if we see a financial crisis. And that is my point here, that in a financial crisis, people are not looking for speculative investments. They are looking for safe investments where there is no risk, or as least risk as possible. And if you're looking for something without third-party risk and without default risk, then Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency that has actually zero default risk and zero third-party risk. But make sure to leave all of your comments about this below, and maybe I can address your comment in the next video. And also, like I said, you have to go and watch my video about why I deleted my BitMEX tutorial. And if you want to watch that video, I can put it right there. So click it right now, and I will see you guys tomorrow.